Someone came up with a game of hide and go Shrek where it's hide and go seek, but the seeker is wearing a Shrek mask, and when you find someone, you've got to yell at them, "Get out my swamp!" And the whole time you're playing, Smash Mouth plays as well.
No, when you're seeking them, when they're trying to find them, they've got to sing Smash Mouth while they're finding them, so the hiders know how close they are.
Which is just incredible.
Yeah. The
winner gets parfait.
Yeah, but like parfait, you know, got some go, hey, you gonna get some parfait, they go nail like the parfait. Parfait may be the most delicious thing on the whole damn planet. Welcome to Would John Rather. We've got a John, but not the John you're used to, but my brother is still here. Say hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everybody.
Third week in a row that joke's been made.
Never gets old.
Yes, it does. You're not Matthew McConaughey in whatever that film is.
No, I'm John.
Yes, I know. What's the film with Matthew McConaughey where he's like, "That's what I love about high school girls. I keep getting older, they stay the same age. All right, all right, all right." Anyway, moving on.
I hope that gets edited out so you just sound really creepy.
No. So, yeah, we've got a John gone on holiday and a John's returned from holiday. So my brother has kindly agreed to step in again. He's not started demanding a wage yet, which is good because nobody gets paid a wage.
If John's getting paid a wage, then I demand satisfaction.
Right, okay, you made that more creepy than it needed to sound. Oh dear.
So, are we still a podcast that asks questions? And
yep. I think we should dive right in.
Yeah, if people don't know the format by now, then I'm sure they'll figure it out. It's not difficult to comprehend.
No, clues in the title.
Yeah, except it's not always people called John, and including this week, the last 3 weeks, and who knows however many more, will feature less Johns than the average podcast.
What can you do?
On just talking about statistics, did you know, this is an interesting fact that I read, on average, the average person has more than one skeleton inside them?
Yeah, the guy I work with told me that. It's a little bit creepy.
Yeah, I'd never thought of it, but that's why I love statistics. Was that John processing that information going, wait, how? Ah, okay.
Yeah, I sort of didn't listen to the first bit where you said statistically, and then went, how? And then you said, I love statistics. And then it clicked.
Right, so since this is a podcast about questions, should I ask the first question?
Yeah, go on then.
Specifically, would you rather questions?
Do you like statistics?
Yes.
No.
End of show.
That'd be like, that'd just be like one of those French films of just silent movie, piano music in the background. It just comes up, do you like statistics? And then John appears and shakes his head, and then Finn.
Isn't that how Jaws started?
Yeah.
Awesome. Right, so would you rather always have skis stuck to your feet or always have a snowboard stuck to your feet?
Skis all day.
I mean, everybody knows that skis are a little bit easier to learn for the first point.
Is that true?
But yeah,
I've heard skiing's harder.
I can do both. It's easier to pick up initially, but everybody also knows that snowboarding looks a lot cooler. And what's more important in life, being practical or being cool?
Well,
don't forget this is everyday life.
Yeah, I mean, my first question is, when you say you can do both, to what level can you do both? Because everybody can do both, but I could go to the highest mountain in the world and say that I can ski. I won't be skiing for very long, but I'll be skiing.
Is it like in Toy Story where it's not flying, it's falling with style?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no, I'd say I wouldn't claim to be amazing at either. Just, competent enough to get down the mountain without statistically breaking my legs.
Which is all well and good, but how well do your mediocre snowboarding skills, how do you think they're going to fare with you on the tube?
Well, if I always had to have skis or a snowboard attached to my feet, frankly, I'm not going to live in London anymore. I'm going to go live in the mountains, where I clearly belong.
Okay.
What about your driving to work, Matt?
I would just cut off the fronts and backs of the skis. If you snip off the fronts and backs, are they not still skis? They're just very small skis. And if you snipped off the fronts and the backs of the skis, then don't they just become very bad stilts?
You can get the cross-country skis, can't you? They're only short.
No, they're still quite long, the cross-country ones. They just have a different type of attachment.
It wouldn't matter because I'd be snipping them off. And either way, 2 birds with 1 stone, I could then also take up fencing. Because I'd have 2 sticks.
Like I said, skis are definitely more practical. I mean, if you're on the flat, you can still push them along. But life isn't about being practical.
Yes, it is. You spent your entire life living a life of a practical man.
Do you want to live long and practically, or do you want to live fast and die young?
Well, you definitely will die young if you had to travel through London on a snowboard.
We've already established I'm not going to live in London anymore. I'm going to live somewhere where they have snow for more of the year than they don't.
Yeah, but you still need to get to that. Do you have enough money in savings, and does your wife love you enough that if you woke up tomorrow morning with a snowboard permanently on your feet, that you would both be ready to uproot your life? She'd have to bundle you into the back of a Reliant Robin and drive you to the Swiss Alps.
I've got enough in savings to rent a Reliant Robin and to drive to the Alps, yes. And then I've probably got enough savings to spend a few weeks practicing, and then I'll become a snowboard instructor, and then it will be self-funding.
Exactly, which proves my point. You've got enough savings because you're a practical man. I do not have enough savings to do that, so I need the skis to be practical and still carry on my day-to-day life. You're a practical man. You don't care about being cool. Otherwise, you'd have spent all those savings on aviators and unicycles and contact juggling. I don't know what's cool anymore. I'm 30. But you get my meaning.
I've always taken the practical choice, but I've never had that choice forced upon me. I've never woken up with a snowboard on my feet and gone, deal with it. If that happened to me, the practical choice is no longer to go work at the financial ombudsman. It's go be a snowboard instructor, you idiot. That is now the practical choice.
I could just see you as a snowboarder. You'd be just like Paul Rudd's character in Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I was like, Mahalo, friend, we're going to go surfing today. He was like, yeah, we met yesterday. I was like, did we? Oh, cool. I don't see it.
If you
don't like people, let alone being an instructor.
But you got to make money somehow, and most jobs involve interacting with people to some extent.
But don't forget, if John's being the instructor, he can put his pity tut-tut on them as well.
If you were going to play a PlayStation game and you had a choice between playing a skiing game or a snowboarding game, you're obviously going to go for the snowboarding game because...
I mean, you say that, but I spent quite a large portion of my a larger portion than anyone should, and I don't regret it in the slightest, playing Tour de France on the PS2 with the people I used to hang around with, because it was very, very simple, but very, very frustrating. There are now games that have the exact concept and the whole concept of the Tour de France game as a mini game, but this was the whole game that you had to wait to load up. So I would definitely play a skiing game over a snowboarding game. Even when they've released snowboarding games, they didn't do that well because they're never going to do as well as Tony Hawk's because there was so much you could do. The BMX ones didn't do as well. The snowboarding ones didn't do as well. The surfing ones definitely didn't do as well.
I bought the snowboarding game.
And what was it called? That just shows how cool it was, doesn't it, John?
It was a while ago. I think it was. It's a good
It was-
question.
Tom Clancy's snowboarding.
No, it wasn't that.
People play any sort of game. There's farming simulator games, for God's sakes.
I can't remember what it was called, but I do remember distinctly some of the levels, and it was awesome. I played on it. I probably played on it more than I played on Tony Hawk's. Definitely.
And yet you can't remember. I can remember numerous snowboarding games. SSX, SSX Tricky.
No, it wasn't those.
1080.
No.
But it had such an impact on your life that you clearly don't remember.
But the same concept with the games. You had a lot of skateboarding ones. You never had any roller skating games, did you?
Yeah, aggressive inline.
Yeah, and that didn't do as well as Tony Hawk's.
No, but that's because Tony Hawk's a famous comedian.
No, it's because skateboarding's better than inlining, and snowboarding is better than skiing.
No, I think it's more just the name.
Matt, what else are you going to do to make your day-to-day life? Because just snipping off the ends, you're still going to have quite a big chunk under your foot.
Yeah, but that's what shoes are, brother. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but wouldn't I essentially be turning my skis into platforms?
So you're just going to style them out and end of it.
Yeah.
Your
Snip
life
them.
is going to be the same as ever, except you've got some bodged up skis.
Yeah, I'd just be like 5 or 6 inches taller. Either way, we're both going to have to suffer from serious trench foot. So eventually we're going to be amputees of the finest order. So,
In that case, snowboard wins.
Yeah!
So just to clarify, John's going to uproot his entire life to move to the Swiss Alps to teach snowboarding, even though he's a mediocre snowboarder. And even if, let's say, in the space of a year, he gets good enough to be able to teach people and make a living from it, by that point trench foot is set in and he's had to have his feet amputated, at which point he'll never get to teach anyone. You're saying that's better than me just trying to get on with my life?
Well, it seems a lot more exciting than just going, yeah, I'm going to be the infamous guy that wears weird ski platforms everywhere.
Yeah, but that's like saying, oh, how did you propose to your girlfriend? Oh, I proposed to her on the front of the Statue of Liberty, and I had a mariachi band of all of her favourite cartoon characters that were brought back to life, even though they were never real in the first place, while they all sang harmoniously her favourite song. Okay, and what did you do? I proposed in the mouth of a giant live shark. Well, that's clearly cooler, isn't it? No, it's a stupid decision. Don't propose to somebody in front of any sharks.
But if you're asking that question after you've proposed, it means it worked. So the story still stands. The shark proposal is so much cooler.
Yeah, but not if you haven't got any feet.
Definitely if you
the
didn't have...
Statue of Liberty.
If you had no feet either way, then you obviously just go for the better option.
That's my point. That if you're going to end up in the same situation, do the more enjoyable one.
Oh dear, I understand what you're saying. You're saying rather have a story than not, but I know both of you, both of your lives, and that's not how you've lived.
Snowboards change you, man.
Oh, fuck you.
Suggestion of the week.
I have a suggestion of the week. I would like more harmless pranks. Not the stupid ones you get at the moment where it's, I just punched a random guy in the back of the head. Isn't that funny? But
Brother, I'm sorry to intervene, but we're that old that you think happy slapping was quite recent. Is that what you're saying?
No, there's like all the ones now of angry, although they are quite funny, the angry unicorn ones. But a lot of them now, it is just abuse and then banter, that sort of thing. I'm talking about the one I read the other day, which was in 1948. A guy wore £30 three-toed shoes and stomped around a beach in Florida at night. He made footprints that made people believe that it was a 15-foot tall penguin. And He did this for 10 years.
Wow, that's dedication. So you're
That's
saying
incredible.
more things like middle of the night, silent streamers, let your grass grow, and then put in a tiny crop circle.
Yeah. No one gets hurt or just a little bit of sort of mind games just to make people go, like, what the fuck is that? I think there should be more of that.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Also, I want to know where he got £30 three-toe shoes from.
I read one the other day that was quite similar. So when you've got a baby, you do loads
I
of
don't like this sentence from you.
No. But you do like a photo shoot, and I can't remember exactly the context, but it was something along the lines of they were either they were magical or they were brought up by animals or something like that, so they're realistic, and then you lock them away in a trunk in the cellar or the attic or something, and then when they get to about 10, 11, 12, you say to them, oh, I've got some old stuff up there, or leave it into a point where they can go and discover all this random shit where they're like, oh my god, and they find all of this information about them that's completely a joke, but you just let them think it. I can't remember the ins and outs. It was really clever.
See, I like that idea. There's the same one that people were trying to do with the Harry Potter thing, isn't there?
Yeah, well, you tell them, bring them up and send them a secret letter when they're 11 about going to Hogwarts, and then take them down to King's Cross and let them run at the wall really hard.
Yep.
I still like the idea of hiding all as best as you can, but hiding, or even teaching them at a young age, this would be the best way to do it, teaching them at a young age that giraffes aren't real and they're just a photoshopped creature like a unicorn, because I went to the zoo the other day and they definitely don't look like they should be real. I was stood a metre away from this giraffe and I was like, nah, I don't believe it. And you just train that into them and then wait until they're about 13, 14. You go for a day out to the zoo, they actually see a giraffe for the first time, and their mind just, look at that long ass horse.
I do like that. Giraffes do not make any sense.
No, not even a little bit.
Although, if you've ever seen the program Inside Nature's Giants, where they dissect the animals and show you the anatomy of them, they are incredible.
Yeah, when we were at the zoo, I googled the skeleton because I couldn't figure it out. Because when you think of a giraffe, you think it's just the neck, but the neck kind of starts halfway up its back and goes up by a good metre before it then turns into just the skinny neck part. So I was I couldn't figure it out, and it turns out it's all shoulder blades and stuff like that, but it didn't make sense. And then we find out that unicorns aren't real. I believe unicorns over giraffes, if you said to me.
Yeah, it would make much more sense.
Anyway, John's gone silent because he clearly doesn't like animals. Question 2?
We can do question 2. Which one first? Right. Would you rather be Ross Kemp for a year or Greg Wallace for a year?
I don't know who Greg Wallace is.
The guy that does Inside the Factory. Same sort of thing. Have a little Google quickly.
He's the one from MasterChef who loves desserts.
Yes.
Oh, the buttery biscuit base.
Yes.
Oh. I think I'd still rather be Ross Kemp.
Fine. Well, I'd obviously rather be Greg Wallace.
Because you like that base. You like the buttery biscuit base. You like the base? Ross Kemp will smack you in the face. You like that buttery biscuit base.
Don't know how I come back from that.
That's up to you. I know why I'd rather be Ross Kemp, but why would you rather be Greg Wallace? Now I know who he is.
I once told you that I went into a pub restaurant and chose the item that had the highest number of calories on the menu just because I thought it was a challenge. Well, if I was in charge of MasterChef, I would do the same.
Okay.
I can spend my entire life going, who's got the most calories in their dish? Right, you win then. Way.
I read this episode is slowly turning into basically Reddit posts that have been turned into memes that we've seen and tell each other about. But I read a funny one that was basically they get the world's top chefs together for a competition, but don't tell them until they're all there. and the judges are picky 9-year-olds. And it's like, I don't like this stupid mayonnaise. It's rubbish. That's creme fraiche, sir. I don't care. You lose.
Why is that not primetime television show?
I know. I'd watch that all day because
That sounds incredible.
pretty much all chefs, need to be brought down a peg or two, and that would be the best because you can't argue with a child. You never win an argument with a child.
Have you seen Gordon Ramsay when he does like the children's shows?
Yeah, it's
He's
brilliant.
the polar opposite. He's just like really supportive.
I saw a poll earlier that they're trying to get Gordon Ramsay to be the chef in the live-action Little Mermaid remake.
I approve.
And Terry Crews to be King Trident, which I definitely approve of. Kevin Hart to be Sebastian, and I can't remember. They was just going through because everyone's kicking off now that there's going to be a black Little Mermaid. In the original story, she was green, so everyone needs to grow the fuck up. But anyway.
So, I'm not sure what your argument was for being Ross Kemp.
Oh, well, if this podcast has anything to go about, Ross Kemp wins, so...
Is that your argument?
That's my whole argument. I've got more if you want it, but I don't think I need more than that.
The problem is, if Ross Kemp goes down as the winner, that's not you winning. That's Ross Kemp winning.
That's fine by me. No, he got started being a famous actor, and then he used that fame to start trying to expose mistreatment of, well, generally from what I know of it, I haven't watched all of the shows, but it's a lot of kind of mistreatment of men and how they feel, and especially in today's society where, men's mental health is something that's recently been brought up. Men in the military, men in jails, how they get treated. It's an important point, and he seems to have actual stories and evidence compared to people like Danny Dyer, who started off doing that and now is in EastEnders being an actor. Danny Dyer is like the anti-Ross Kemp when you think of it.
John, do you have anything more?
I think statistically, Wallace is on TV more than Ross Kemp, so therefore he's more successful.
Yeah, but that's only if you're including Grommet.
Cheesy joke, I like it.
Yeah, very nice. Well, they're both famous bald men.
Yeah, and wouldn't you rather be bald and fat and always eating pudding and happy about it, rather than just bald and angry about stuff?
Going out to the forefront of war and reporting on it and how, the troops are treated, or going into the world's deadliest prisons and talking about how the prisoners are treated.
Oh, that's just depressing.
Yeah, but it sounds a lot more, interesting and the sort of thing you wouldn't regret later in life, like, oh, I don't know, going to the French Alps because you're stuck to a snowboard and having to relocate.
I have never, ever regretted eating cake.
No,
I think
but
I would regret visiting a prison if something bad happened.
But nothing bad has happened.
Yet. What about war? Lots of bad things happen
at
war.
Greg Wallace will never, ever, ever replace Lloyd Grossman.
Lloyd Grossman just makes sauces and invests in...
That's what he does now.
I think my wife used to work for the British School at Rome, and he was one of their patrons. Greg Wallace wasn't interested in British School at Rome. He was interested in eating cake.
Exactly. So you chose your wife. Greg Wallace did not choose your wife. Lloyd Grossman chose your wife. Therefore, Greg Wallace is not good enough.
All right, I'm going to call it there. I do really like Greg Wallace, but I'm going to give it to Matt with Ross Kemp for the argument with mental health.
Yeah. I don't think I made that much of an argument for mental health. And let's just wait. Yeah, I am for mental health. Yeah. I was like, hang on a sec. Wait, no, that makes it sound... Yeah, no, I am for mental health. Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Don't worry. None of the answers... Your reasoning for making somebody the winner doesn't actually have to be something someone said, so...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, I know that.
It was also because we all know that Ross Kemp's now an avid listener of this, Because I think we have to pay him like X amount of pounds every time we say his name. So
Yeah, that's why no one gets paid on the podcast.
yeah, it all goes to Ross Kemp. So if he didn't win, then he'd probably get in touch with us, be like, boys, what the fuck?
Yeah, then you'd like get the world's toughest gang,
Yeah.
get them to start on us.
Welcome to Ross Kemp's Manhunt for Johns. Oh dear.
And this way, if we've upset Greg Wallace, he just might send us some really bad cakes.
Or some really good cakes to try and persuade us.
Either way, it's a win.
If you're listening, Greg, send us a cake and we'll retrospectively change the argument.
Oh, 100%.
The outcome. Doesn't matter if Nathan decides or not. We'll just do it.
Nathan's only standing in for John, so I'm sure that if we all get sent cake, then as long as John gets some, he'll retroactively change his mind.
I can put it in now. If cake arrives from Greg Wallace, the verdict is changed.
Okay.
But if then Ross Kemp threatens us after the cake, the verdict's changed again.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you ready for question 3?
As I'll ever be.
This is a very, very basic one. I'm surprised it's not come up yet, and I'm very interested to hear you both argue this one out. Would you rather be a man or a woman?
Well, it's funny you should say that, brother, because we've spoken about this from day one. And I mean, it was one of the first conversations we had, was it not, John? That we were never going to ask this question?
Possibly.
So,
Well, I've asked the question.
I would rather be a woman.
Oh, fuck.
I have chosen I would rather be a woman, A, because I can think of many pros to being a woman, and also B, if I was arguing, I think I'll get in less trouble for arguing to be a woman than I would if I was arguing to be a man.
I think I'd rather be a man because at this point in my life, it's a lot more practical. And
Why? Why is it more practical to be a man?
because I'm already a man.
Right, that's a fair enough argument.
And men have ruled the world for thousands of years, and rightly or wrongly, whether that was for good or for bad, I'm not commenting on whether it was good or whether it was bad.
I'm going to walk this tightrope very carefully.
They were in charge, and what's better than being in charge?
Well, you know what they say, behind every strong man is a strong woman. I assume they mean they were pegging, but I'd rather be a woman because statistically they live longer.
Yeah, but as we've discussed earlier, if you're going to live, you've got to do it right. Are you going to spend your life with skis?
Yeah, we're talking about now. You're talking about the history of the world. I'm talking about now. And there's obviously all these movements going on for equality. There has never been a better time in history in the UK, before you start talking about Amazonian warriors and whatever, there's never been a better time in the UK than now to be a woman. So I'd rather be a woman because everything...
They're on the up.
Yeah, they're on the up. Everything seems to be going well. It's obviously starting more questions about what equality actually is, and it's opening up those conversations, but there's a lot of injustices that are being rectified. Women get to live longer. You know, we get to have that bond with our children that a father would never feel by having them stuck on our nipples. I've heard that's a thing. I don't know. But if I did it as a father, it would be weird, like the bit on Family Guy, so I'll never know. It just all sounds great. And also, I want to be able to use sex as a weapon.
I think you're making a good point.
Nathan, can you hear him like balancing on his tightrope?
I knew one of you would squirm for this question, and it is not disappointing.
The women's place in the world is improving.
Careful!
But
where's the woman's place, John?
No,
Am I going for the second week in a row where I've broken someone?
No, what I want to say is I agree. There has never been a better time to be a woman, but they're coming from a very low base. They still have a lot of problems that men don't have to suffer through.
No, John,
You
and
know,
I appreciate your
every
opinion
day's-
that women aren't as good as men and they've got a long way to come before they are, but I don't agree with that opinion.
No, I'm saying that women have to overcome everyday sexism and lots of awful things. And while that is terrible, it's just much easier to be a man. So I'd rather take the easy option.
So, to clarify, because I don't think I'm exaggerating this, but just say you want to stay a man because you're quite happy with the way that the world's gone. You're quite happy with the male privilege that we've just been given and not necessarily created.
Yeah, why make my life more difficult than it needs to be? What I'm doing is I'm acknowledging how much harder it is to be a woman.
Can I just ask a question before we carry on this discussion? Is your wife at home?
Yeah, but I don't think she can hear me.
Oh, okay. I was just curious. I was like, okay. Why other reasons? Also, if I was a woman, I'd be a lesbian. That's not an argument for or against. I'm just clarifying. Just because I'm a woman doesn't mean I don't got to accept no dick. Other benefits to being a woman. See, I thought by picking being a woman, it would be easier for me not to put my foot in it. But I've ran out of reasons I want to be one, which is probably worse. I may have been safer insulting them. No, I don't think it really matters. You're born into what you are, and you've then got to just play the hand that you're dealt. Being a man or a woman in the UK, I think they've both got their downfalls and their ups. I'd rather be a man or a woman in the UK than either in some of the worst places to live in the world. So, yes, okay, there's things that are bad for men and bad for women in this country, and we're concentrating on them and talking about them now. But I'd definitely rather be a woman in this country than a woman in most other countries. Like, I'm not, before this gets taken out of context, before either one of you fuckers tries it, I'm not saying that women in the UK should be grateful for what they've got. I'm just saying, for everybody in this country, it could be a lot worse.
Okay. I mean, that's a valid point, potentially. It's not necessarily an argument in favour of being a woman.
It's an argument in favour of being a woman here, but not elsewhere.
Yeah, I didn't think that one through, did I? I like drinking. I am 100% sure I'd be an attractive woman. You see my slim figure. So I'd get bought many drinks, go for a night out, get bought lots of drinks. All I've got to do, if I feel like it at the end of the night, is have some sex. Everybody likes having sex. It seems like win-win. If either of you two got told, tell you what, let this attractive woman buy you drinks all night and then she'll have sex with you, you'd be like, what's the catch? Well, okay, maybe not the two of you because you have partners, but you would be trying to find out what the catch is. If your partner said, let me buy your drinks all night and we'll have sex with you, you'd be going, something's fishy. Something's fishy was not the right sentence to use there.
I love the fact that all of these things are skirting around what you probably want to say.
I don't know what you mean. I genuinely don't.
Which means you've got no actual arguments.
I don't think that's fair. I think I've made my point very clear. It's much easier being a man, so why would I want to change that up?
So just give me a summary of your argument, Matt.
I would rather be a woman because the whole point of life is to reproduce, and women are the ones that carry children to term.
Are we having any more arguments either way?
I like having lots of testosterone that makes me aggressive and win things.
Yeah, you like fighting.
I like fighting.
See, now, as we've discussed already in this episode, but John, it doesn't matter what you or I have said, and remember, please tweet at us everything you disagreed with the things we just said, but I think we tread the line quite carefully, for the most part. But the onus now isn't on us, John. It's on my dear brother to make the decision.
He's now got to decide we had to pick a side.
Yeah, and we could have
And-
argued either very well, and I think we did very well to do it, but he overall has to decide who wins. And overall, brother is the one that's deciding which is the superior gender. So after you, brother.
Okay. I'm going to go with John for the reason, because he's got the testosterone and he likes fighting, if this ever goes south and we do have to face Ross Kemp, we have a backup plan with John and his testosterone.
That's a bullshit cop out. You just said that men are better than women, and our mother listens to this podcast, so I hope she writes you a sternly worded letter.
So, who won this episode overall?
John.
John won, because my brother thinks men are better than women.
So does John.
Yeah, John does as well. I'm here standing up for my bitches.
Oh, that's now gone.
Yeah. I'm up there with, like Aretha Franklin and Beyonce, and why am I just picking famous black female singers? But they were the first two women. What are the words?
Role models?
Yeah, they were the first two female role models I could think of. So yeah, fight the power. Well, on that awkward note, he's been John and we've not. So see you next week.
Toodle pip.
Au revoir.
Right, let me run for a piss off.
Something, eat something. We want somebody to it. Where everybody does a